Uh, can you see the screen? Can you hear me clearly, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, so students, in today's class, we are going to see on a topic called as feature selection. Okay, now can anybody tell me, students, what is a feature selection? What is a feature selection? Can anybody tell me?
So choosing among the various features available to see which one is the most important for deciding the result.
Exactly, perfectly, very, very, very good. Okay, that is, just imagine, students, if you have a target variable. Okay, so you have your independent variables inside the data set, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and you have a target variable, which is a dependent variable, and all these things are independent variable. Yes, and if you have so many features, and this target variable is dependent on so many features to say yes or no, true or false, okay, 0 or 1, okay, whatever it might be, positive or negative, whatever it might be, okay, then we know that we have been studying that as the number of features increases, the curse of the dimension, okay, the curse of the dimensionality is, that is, the curse is, in machine learning we say, as the number of features keeps growing or increasing to decide the target value, okay, the accuracy may decrease. The accuracy may decrease. So as you said, we go for feature selection. Now, what is a feature selection? We select those features from our data set which are very important, which are very important, which are very important. And we leave out those features which are least important, because remember, students, in machine learning, data is everything. Data is very, very, very important. So when you are trying to, when you have decided to leave out the data, so try adding the data is also a problem, leaving the data is also a problem. And if case, I mean, adding more number of features is also a problem, leaving out the data or removing the features is also a problem. And if you're trying to remove the features, if you're trying to delete the columns, if you're trying to delete the rows, then we should be very, very, very careful, or else the entire performance of the entire application or the data set, or you, whichever the application or the data you are working on, might produce a lesser accuracy. Okay, so data is very important. So we are going to remove those features which are less important. Okay, how do we do it? Okay, how do we do it? Now, the first one in feature selection is, the first methodology we are going to adopt is dropping constant features. Dropping constant features. Say, for example, students, if you have a data set, okay, with the A, B, C, D, okay, 3, 3, 4, 4, some values are there. Okay, I'll not put this one. Okay, dropping constant features. The first methodology, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this is there, and 4, 3, 2, 1, something like this is there. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, D values. Okay, now given a particular data set, something like this, you find out. Okay, now dropping constant features. How do you drop the constant features? So if you see the future attribute C, everything is 0. Everything is a constant variable, constant values. and for the feature attribute D, okay, it's everything is 1. So we will be removing those features who has the variance, okay, very less. Okay, very less, that is 0. Okay, which is 0. So if you take a mean of this, it is 0, right? If you take a mean of this, it is 1. It is 1. Okay, and then the mean variance and the standard deviation will be 0, whatever you do. Okay, and whatever it might be for this also. So the variance is the spread of the numbers, right? So you remove the variance, you remove the features based on the variance. Now, if I'm setting a threshold, 0.00, if I'm setting a 0, whose variance is 0. So the variance is 0 here. For both C and D, the variance is 0. So I will be dropping those features whose variance is 0. If I calculate this, is C is also 0 and D is also 0, the variance, a spread of the numbers, it's 0. Okay, this threshold you can change it accordingly. Okay, so this is one way of feature selection. Okay, the next methodology of feature selection. Okay, the second methodology of feature selection is we find the correlation. Correlation. We remove the features which are highly correlated. Now, please understand, students, you have A, B, C, D. You have A, B, C, D. And say, for example, you have a target variable. If A is highly correlated with the target variable, means it is very good. We should not remove that. If B is highly correlated with the target variable, means it's very good. You should not remove that. If C is highly correlated with the target variable, means it is very good. You should not remove that. If D is very highly correlated with the target variable, means it is very good. You should not remove that also. That is, these are all independent features. A, B, C, and D are independent features, and target variable is dependent on A, B, and C and D. So if there is high correlation between the independent and the dependent, then it is very good. But if A and B, if two independent features are highly correlated with each other, okay, if two independent features are highly correlated with each other, so for example, if A, B, C, okay, are highly correlated with each other, say for example, the value is 0.90, 0.90, 0.89, whatever it might be. So A, B, and C are highly correlated with each other. A, B, C, B, C, A, C, A, B are highly correlated with each other. So it means that B and C are duplicate, or A and B are duplicate, or A and C are duplicate, whatever it is. You can take out of these three features only one feature, either A or B or C, and you can remove the other two features because because all three are highly correlated with each other. So there is a duplication because all three are providing the same variance, or you can call it as the same level for the same contribution to the target variable. So why keep the same contribution to the target variable? So you can remove either one of the features and take A and D, okay, and the target variable alone, and take the target variable alone. This is with respect to correlation. The first one is with respect to what? Removing constant features with the help of variance. Okay, the second one is with the respect to correlation value. Correlation. Okay. The third one, students, with respect to mutual information or information gain for classification. Mutual information, okay, or information gain based for classification problems. For classification problem, if it's a classification problem. So by using mutual information, we select the features. We have studied, right? Information gain we have studied in decision trees. Okay. Mutual information or information gain, both are same. Mutual information, we select the features. Now what is mutual information? We estimate the mutual information for discrete target variables. For discrete target variables. For discrete target variables. Okay. Like yes or no. Discrete means what? Yes or no. True or false. Positive or negative. All those things. So mutual information between two random variables. Two random variables. Say for example A and B in this case. Okay. Two random variables A and B. It's a non-negative. It should be a non-negative. Is a non-negative. Is a non-negative value, which measures the dependency between the variable. Which measures the dependency, how these two variables are dependent on each other. Okay. If the value is 0, it means that A and B are highly independent. It's very good for the data set. It's highly independent. Okay. If the value is 0, it means that they don't have a relationship between each other and there is no duplication. And the variable A and the feature A and the feature B, okay, are highly what? Independent. Are independent. Higher the value of a variable A and variable B means their dependency is increasing with each other. It's not good. It's not good. Okay. How this two random variable values are calculated? Using the concept of entropy. Okay. In machine learning, students, kindly please understand, feature selection is the most important part. It's the second step. This is the most important part. Okay. Okay. So what did I tell you? So for example, if A, B, C, D, and this is the target variable. Now you are comparing A, B, C, D. And if you find out the relationship between A and B is 0 and A and C, okay, is 0.98. So in between these two, you will take only one. And you have to see, because A and C are almost right? And you have to compare the B and C also. So definitely it will be close to 0 only. Because when these two are equal, it means that you have already compared. It is like A greater than B, B greater than C, and A is greater than C. A greater than B, A greater than C is the greatest, we say, right? The same way. Something like that. So you have to choose only one feature. That is, if the feature, if I'm comparing these two, and if my value is 0, it means that entropy. Okay, the lesser the entropy, the better the, very good, right? It is very good. Higher the information gain. Higher the information gain. Lesser the entropy, higher the information gain. More the entropy, lesser the information gain. The same way. So if the comparison between these two values is 0, it means that they both are highly independent and it is very, very, very good for the data set. But if the value is higher and higher and higher and higher, it means that it is very bad. They are both are dependent. Then you need to perform the feature selection. So how do you do it? So information of x given y equal to h of x minus of h of x given y. Okay, that is h of x is the entropy of x. Entropy of x. This is conditional entropy for x given y. For x given y. Conditional entropy for x given y. This is entropy of x. This is the conditional entropy of x given y. Okay. The result is in the form of a bits. Whatever you do, the result is in the form of bits, which is always in between 0 and 1. Which is always in between 0 and 1. Okay. Students. The next methodology to do the feature selection is using chi-square test. Chi-square test. Okay. We compare the chi-square for each non-negative feature and the class target. Okay. Features that have only values. Non-negative means features that have only values. Okay, we compare. So say for example, students, okay, you kindly please check how to do chi-square test, but as of now it is not required for this particular subject. So I'm not going to explain how the chi-square test is being formed, but later for you when you are actually doing and when you really wanted to know the process, then kindly please understand it will take 115 minutes of time to learn. Okay, or in the math, if you have studied math 1, math 2, math 3 or whatever maybe the math, okay, you should know. Okay, so initially students, say for example, you have be given a categorical value. Okay, say for example, if you have been given a data set A, B, C, D, E. Okay, and consider your data set has the values A, B, C, A. Okay, then you have true, false, true, false. Okay, then you have, say for example, magenta, lavender, magenta, lavender. And then you have some classes 3, 2, 1 and 2. Then you have the target values, either it is 0 or 1, 0 or 1. Okay, the first step to perform chi-squared is you do label encoding. You do label encoding. So what you do in the label encoding is, how it happens is A, B, C, D, E, right? Everything is turned into integers. Okay, given a categorical data, everything is turned into integers. That is, say for example, A it will turn to 0. This is just to make you understand. B it will turn to 1. C it will turn to 2, and A again it will turn to 0. Some kind of methodology. True it will turn to 1, false it will turn to 0, true it will turn to 1, false it will turn to 0. Say for example, magenta it will turn to 1, then lavender it will turn to 2, magenta it will turn to 1, lavender it will turn to 2. You can set it, you can set the values also. Again, this is a class tables which is already given. So it belongs to 3, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Then E is already given the target value, which is 0 or 1. So you do the label encoding. You do the label encoding and you perform the chi-square test. When you perform the chi-square test, students, you will get two parameters: Z score F score and P value. You will get these two things in chi-square test. If you learn the concept of chi-square test, okay, for every attribute of A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Okay, so for A, you will have the F score and the P value. For B, you will have the F score and the P value. This is the F score. This is the P value. Okay, this is F score. This is the P value. Okay, C, you will have the F score and the P value. D, you will have the F score and the P value if there are 4 features considered. So higher the F score and lower the p-value, it is better. It is better. But if you have a, say for example, D is having lower F score and higher p-value, lower F score and higher p-value, and if this is having higher F score and lower p-value, so you can drop these two features from the data set. That is, F score should be higher and the p-value should be lower. It means that those two data features are performing very well. Those two data features are performing very well. Okay, so then you can drop the other features which have lower F score and lower p values. Okay, so like if you have billion, say for example, if you have thousands of features, what will you do? How will you calculate? And if I want to take one top 5 or a top 10 features only or top 100 features only, you sort them. You sort them. You sort all the F scores and you sort all the p values, and then you take how many ever features or a top out of 1000 you want, 500, top 500 or top 800. Accordingly, you can do it if it's a very large data sets. You're getting the point, students? Yeah, people are able to understand whatever I'm teaching you. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kindly
Yes,
please
sir.
raise your
Yes,
hands,
sir.
students. Kindly please raise your hands. Kindly please quickly raise your hands. What about others? Only 37 have understood. Others are not available. Dinesh? Dinesh?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What happened, Pa? We are not raising hands.
Sir, I reached, sir.
Just now only you raised, right? When I was calling you.
Sir, network poor connection, sir.
You have to press the button. What man network poor
Sir,
connection?
it is taking delay, sir.
Okay. Nirva Das, Rahul Rajput. Okay. Okay. So the next one for feature selection is a wrapper method. Is a wrapper method. Okay. Which have two basic things. One is recursive feature elimination, and genetic algorithms also works based on this. Recursive feature elimination works on this, and the genetic algorithms also works on this. Okay. Now what exactly a wrapper method is? Okay. Consider, students, you have some features and you have some target variable. Okay. Consider Z, K, L, M, N, okay, O, something. Okay. So you have some features and you have the target variable. Now what you do is, students, now what you do is, please understand, very important. You take the first feature and the target variable and the target variable. You combine these two, okay, and you take the accuracy out of it. Okay. You take the accuracy. Then what you do, you take Z and K, Z plus K feature, and you combine with the target variable and you take the accuracy of it. Then you take ZKO feature with the target variable, you find the accuracy of it. So this is one model M1, this is one model M2, this is one model M3. Okay, then Z plus K plus O plus L plus M. Okay, this is only for feature selections. Okay, plus the target to take the accuracy out of it. To take the accuracy out of it. Okay, then what you do? You can take Z and T to take the accuracy out of it. You'll get another model. That is, you can find in any combination, student, Z plus T, K plus T, O plus T, L plus T, M plus T, N plus T, Z plus K plus T, K plus O plus L plus T, L and O and T, M, N, L, T, L, O, K, T, like that, any possible combinations. You will get so many models and you can find out their accuracies based on that. And then whichever models are producing higher accuracies, say for example, Z plus K plus T is producing very high accuracy. Okay, then you can take those subset features, one is Z, K and D plus T, these target variable, these subset features only, and keep it in the data set. And keep it in the data set. And you can remove other things and you can remove other features. Based on the models, how many ever models, and whichever model is producing higher accuracies, that particular features alone you can take. That particular features alone you can take. Other features which have very less accuracy, and you can keep a threshold out of it, and you can keep dropping the features based on the subsets taken. Is that clear to everybody? What is happening here? Is it clear to everyone, students? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how the wrapper method works. So take the features, okay, and see with the target variable what is accuracy. You can take individual features, combine features in whichever may be the combination, form so many models, M1, M2, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 factorial itself is one particular thing. So many subsets you can get. Then apart from that, you can take individual also. 1 factorial, 2 factorial, 3 factorial, 4 factorial. Again, you can try all the possibilities. 40 or 50 different varieties of ways. 40, 50 models you will get. Okay, and from there you can take. But this particular model is very cost expensive and very time consuming. Okay, just imagine for 5 features itself, it is going for so many subsets and so many things. Think about if you have 1,000 features. Think about if you have 1,000 features, then what will happen? Getting the point, students? Getting the point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
So that is what it is. Okay. So the next concept, students, this is all feature size. So we started with the feature selections, constant feature dropping. Then I spoke about correlation. Then I spoke about mutual information. Then I spoke about what is the method I spoke about? Chi-squared. Then I spoke about wrapper method. So constant features dropping means with respect to variance. Correlation means with respect to how much dependency two independent features have. Mutual information was with respect to entropy. 0 means it's better. Higher value means it's not good. Chi-squared means with respect to F and P score. So F score should be high and P score should be low. Okay. Wrapper means with respect to accuracy. So based on there are different methods, and this is not only, then there are so many other methods also. There are so many methods. So what we spoke is this much amount of methods, these many methods. Okay, students. Okay, is it clear? Hello, please talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shall I proceed? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So students, this is very important topic, students. I'm telling you. Okay, when you speak about machine learning, students, especially when you get to your interviews, okay, and when you say, okay, they will definitely ask you about this topic. So I thought spending another 15 minutes with you on this particular topic, and 10 to 15 minutes with you. Okay, because with respect to interviews, when you go and when you don't know this topic, it means that, okay, they will have something, what is this guy, which is the most important part of the machine learning. This itself he doesn't know. You might know so many stuffs, but this is a small thing. Okay, this is a small thing, but it will play a very important role in your placements. Okay, so kindly please concentrate. Okay, so bias and variance. Bias and variance. Now, first I will talk with respect to regression problems. Then I will talk with respect to classification problems. Okay. Now, students, consider students. Okay. Consider I have a degree of a polynomial 1 over here. I have a degree of a polynomial, say for example, 2 over here. And I have a degree of a polynomial 4 over here. Okay. Now, for a given data point, okay, for a given data point, if for a given degree polynomial, whatever it might be, something like this, if I want to draw a line for a degree of a polynomial 1, I will draw a straight line, something like this. Okay. But for a degree of a polynomial 2, if my points are something like this. Okay. Something like this I will draw. Okay. Few points per cent. But if I want to draw a degree of a polynomial 4, then I will draw, the line will look like this. Okay. Now, on my training data set. Okay. After my training. Now, if I look closely at these 3 diagrams. Okay. Now here, my training error. My training error. Okay. This is my training, and I can have it as my testing. Okay. My training, and I can have it as my testing also. Here, students, my training error. Okay. My training error is very high. My training error is very high. Yes or no? Can you see? There are so many errors over here with respect to this. Yes or no? Yes or no, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the differences?
Yes, sir.
The errors are very high. Where is the line? A best fit line I have drawn. Okay, the errors are very high. This kind of a concept where the errors are very high is called as an underfitting. Again, I am telling you, we have spoken this and we are speaking it. Okay, where the errors are very high, it's called as an underfitting. But if you look at this model, okay, if you look at this model, my training errors, exactly it fits. Okay, that is, it passes through every point. It passes through It passes to what, student? Every point. You're getting the point, students? It passes through every point, and there is no error at all. And there is no error in this particular case. This kind of concept, when you try to overfit it, okay, the points, it is called as overfitting, where there is no error. The accuracy is high in training. The accuracy is highest training. Is it clear, students? So what is overfitting and what is underfitting? Now, students, now I am going to introduce two important concepts called as a bias and variance. Bias means, kindly please understand. Okay. Now let me come back to it. I'll come back to it. Before that, I will tell another concept. Okay, 1 second, please. Okay. Now, training error is what, students? Very high over here. Okay, and the training error is very low over here. Yes, training error is very low over here. Okay, then what about this particular model? What about this particular model? This is underfitting and this is overfitting. So we go for a model which is very close, where the errors is also few and it does not overfits the line. Okay, I will tell you why. Now you tell me how is the testing errors over here? For the testing data, what it will produce? For the testing data, what it will produce? For the testing data, what it will produce? What will be the thing, low or high for this one? For this particular model? Hello?
For degree 1, sir, testing error will be high, I think.
Very good. Excellent. Testing error is also high. Now you tell me, for the testing data, what will be the thing? For the testing data, when you try to overfit the model for the testing data, what will be the output? The errors will be low or high?
Hi, sir.
Very good. Excellent. Hats off to you. Okay, that is, you might get a point somewhere over here like this. Yes or no, students? Something like this you will get for the test data. Since you have tried to overfit the line for the training data, it is low. But for the testing data, the errors are going to be high. Okay. Now I will tell you what is the bias and variance. Okay. So bias means, okay, you can assume like the error on the training data, the error on the training data, error produced on the training data. Variance means error produced on the test data. Error produced on the test data. So bias means error produced on the training data. Variance means errors produced on the data. Basically, what is variance? Okay, how much the data is spread between the numbers. That is a variance, right? So bias and variance. So error on the training data and error on the testing data. Now you tell me, okay, for underfitting, it is high bias and high variance. Yes or no, students? High bias and high variance. And for overfitting, it is low bias, because for training, the error is low, but for testing, the error is high. But if you look at this particular model, compared to degree polynomial 1 and polynomial 4, it is underfitting and overfitting. We are looking for where on the training data also the error is low, and for the testing data also, okay, the error is Okay, low variance, low bias, okay, and low variance. Okay, so the accuracy should be high over here as well as here. Is it clear, students? Is it clear? What is low bias, low variance, high bias, high variance, low bias, higher variance, and which situation the problem will arise? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You're able to
Yes,
get
sir.
it, Pa? Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Here, this will really
In
have an impact on me if you're not able to answer this. Please, I'm asking you. If you have any doubts, please ask me. I'll explain you. Is it clear to you? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now with respect to classification problem, this is with respect to regression problem. With respect to classification problem, you have model 1, you have model 2, and you have model 3. Pa. Okay. Now you tell me. Okay. Now you have model 3. So training error is 1%. Okay. Testing error is 20%. Model 2. Okay. Model 2 training error is 25. Testing error is also 25. In model 3, okay, 8% training error and 8% testing error. Now, what is this? Which is overfitting, which is underfitting, and which is the very good model we are looking for? You tell me.
I think model 3 is the good model.
Very good model. Okay, model 1 is an example of what?
Overfitting, sir. Actually, 20% test error. No?
Exactly. Why? This is a low bias, right? The training error is low bias. And the testing error is 20, high. It's a high variance. So low bias and high variance is what? Overfitting. Yes or no, students? Yes or no, students?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now model 2. Okay. The training error is also more. Okay. High bias. And the testing error is also more. High variance. Yes or no, students? So this is an example of underfitting. Underfitting. But if you see, the training error is also low and the testing error is also low. Low bias and low variance. Clear, students? Clear? Hello, is it clear, students?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the generalized representation. Kindly, if they ask you this diagram and all, okay, a generalized representation, or if you are in LinkedIn or if you are in any social media, and when people talk about this, kindly remember this is how this diagram goes. Consider, students, I am drawing two x-axis and y-axis. Let x-axis be in the terms of degree of polynomial, and y-axis, for example, we have an error. Okay. Now, what do we do, students? Consider this is training error. Okay, this is, we can have it as an underfitting. So in underfitting, the training error is also high. That is high bias and high variance. For what? Underfitting. For underfitting. Underfitting. So okay, high bias, high variance. Okay. Now for overfitting, it is low bias and high variance for overfitting. Yes or no, students? So it is low bias. Low bias means something it will be over here. Okay. And high variance. High variance means something over here. High variance. So when I try to draw a plot between underfitting and overfitting, so okay, I will get this line, this a generalized representation. Yes, students? Yes or no? Now,
Yes,
when
sir.
I try to overtrain my model, initially students, okay, my errors will be less. Okay, my errors will be less. Since I am overtraining my model, then my high variance starts to begin. So till this point of time, it is decreasing. Can you see? It is decreasing. My variance. Okay, my errors, my tested data will keep decreasing. Since I have overtrained my model, then I will try to produce an error. We are looking for a model somewhere over here. That is low bias and low variance. Low bias and low variance. That is why students, that is why very important here, whatever I'm teaching you with respect to your interviews. Okay, that is why when you go for a decision tree and when you grow the tree till its depth, when you grow the tree till its full depth, okay, full depth. Now you tell me what is the thing. They will ask you all these things in an interview, students. I'm telling you time and again. Okay, so what is the example of a decision tree? When you grow the tree till whether it's an underfitting or overfitting.
Overfitting, sir.
Very good, excellent, Pa. I'm very happy. Overfitting. Why it's overfitting? Because since I have grown my decision tree to the depth, my training error will be 0. You have done this in your lab also. My training error will be 0, 100% accuracy you will get. But when I apply a test data, then the accuracy will start to decrease, the prediction. Okay, so what we do is we go for a pruning technique where we stop our decision tree till here to a particular depth. We don't build completely. We stop it to a particular level and then we try to test it. Okay, so only in the random forest students, what happens is, okay, the best example I told you, right? Low bias and low variance. What happens in a decision tree? There also we are using a decision tree. Okay, so we built a decision tree. And then what happens is we go to another decision tree, and when we combine the multiple models, right? So initially this is also low bias, high variance, low bias, high variance, low bias, high variance individually. Decision trees. I told you while explaining the random forest. Low bias, high variance. But when we combine this one, when we combine this one, this low bias and high variance is changed to low bias and low variance. Because decision trees are used parallelly. And it is multiple features and multiple random rows. Okay, feature selection and row selection is being done. Individually, it is low bias and high variance. Low bias and high variance means what? It is individually, it is overfitting. But when you combine, it overcomes the high variance problem and it is able to produce low variance. And it is able to produce a generalized model. So you should be knowing what is underfitting, what is overfitting, what is a generalized model representation. Okay, and you should also be knowing what is low bias and high variance. Okay, and then high bias, high variance. Okay, and low bias, low variance. Okay, underfitting and overfitting, students. This is expected, like how when you go for a data structures interview, definitely they'll go talk about stacks and queues, right? When you talk about C and C++, they'll talk about pointers, right? Same way, when you talk about machine learning, then they will talk about, if a person knows machine learning, okay, then he will talk about this one. This is the place where you will be played with. So kindly please understand and try to map up your concepts when you go for an interview. Okay, when you attend your placements. Okay, students, this is a very important part. Okay, I hope you people have understood. How many of you have understood? Please put it in the chat box. Any doubt?